the main concern you guys have is what happens if you get DD crowed on Level Eater. And it is annoying. There are options, of course, that require a certain card variation, because that's what you do when you deal with interactions. The sole purpose of having a 1-card combo is to increase the frequency in which you're trying to initiate a particular sequence, right? That's the point. It's not as resilient. That means that you're required to contribute more cards into that compromised line. This is a perfect example. Our main combo is going to be Gofu and Knight, and that's quite devastating. What is required for you to continue and get your Level Eater back? And think of this as a form of extension in the sense that it's kind of viewed as a call by the grave in a sense, if you were to consider it that way, but it's more so a synchro sequence because you're trying to solve a problem that otherwise wouldn't have a solution. This is going to be the first combo, and then I'll show you the second one. So let's say, for example, you go summon, effect, Level Eater, and you get crowed. Right here, it'll depend on whether they crow you right away or whether they crow you on the effect. If they crow you on the effect, then you can still do some other things because this will be a level 4, and then you can sync into a level 8, which means it'll give you access to your Mantis, which means it'll dump your Dandy, and it'll possibly give you access to a Formula Synchro and drawing you a card. But what if we want to get the Level Eater back? Remember, there's this misconception that, oh yeah, it's a 3-card combo. Well, yes, once your sequence is compromised, you're required to invest the rest of your hand. That's how Yu-Gi-Oh is. And this is why Rev is important, because before it was only there as something to dump off of Excel Synchro. But now that we know how prevalent Crow is, we kind of have to address the situation. And this is how we do that. It gets banished. And now we get our Power Tool. And Power Tool gives us access to an equipped spell, which is going to be DDR. But the issue here is we need to have a card to discard for DDR. We don't have that. So this is where Rev is convenient, because otherwise you can say, oh, if I just need to make a 7, I just have to make a 7 by any means. But the issue is, can you make your Mantis, which is going to give you the formula sequence to draw the card to then discard it? This is a 3-card combo hand. If you need a 4-card combo hand, then that's a bit excessive. Eventually you'll come to that point in some instances, but for the most part, we want a 3rd card to set up this sequence, okay? And that's where Rev comes into play, because now we got our DDR, which is going to solve the problem of DD Crow, but now we need to facilitate it, okay? That's where we get Dandy. Dandy triggers, gets token, and now Mantis turns one of the tokens into a tuner. And this is how we get the card to discard for the DDR. And this is how we get our Level Eater back. And that's a way you can play around DD Crow, because once you have this little guy in rotation, it's so versatile in terms of what it can do. But let's just finish the sequence now, because remember, the end board will be determined by what you decided to play, right? Whether you want to play more engine requirements, whether you want to play, you know, it'll depend. But this is where I go for Wolf Rare. And the cool thing about this guy is we can trigger him, we can pump him up, because it's whenever a monster effect is activated, right? So Level Eater is going to just increase this guy's attack points, making it so where we can use his effect whenever we want by the time we pass our turn. Get access to our Chalice, Level Leads. Go for SD. SD revives formula, Level 8, the Wolf. Because I don't want to reduce the other guys, because I need the levels to be a specific count. Okay, and we go for 0, we level it, and this is what we pass. Our board didn't really get too affected, but considering that we had to play it around an interaction that otherwise would be devastating, that's not bad. So on their turn, we have a nuke, basically shovels all of their monsters into the deck. How many negates is this? All we're missing is fire. Unaffected Jura on their turn. And the cool thing about the secrets is if they kaiju you, or they golem you, or they sphere mode you, at least you can revive one of them back, which is why it's your insurance policy. But that's when you have Gofu and Knight. But there's another card variation that's quite significant as well. Let me show you. And here's the other card variation that Knight can pair with. It's going to be with Vision. And it just shows you that the deck doesn't have to open up with Gofu. You would prefer to open up with Gofu, but for the most part, it pairs well with Vision as well. But you still have the same issue. DD Crow on the Dark Dump. If you dump whatever it is that you want, they're gonna know, okay, Leveweeder, obvious target. Mali, obvious target. It's just so many resources. Why wouldn't you Crow that there? And once again, it'll show you how effective Revolution is to counter that. Summon, send the Mali, you get crowed. Okay, the pivot, going to Power Tool. And in this case, we don't need to go for the Mantis. I mean, obviously we could go for the Mantis, but we can just discard this. It makes it a lot easier. Discard, add back. And of course, there's deviations here where you could have kept the Vision and just milled and gone Mantis, go for the Dandy, go for the Formula Draw, and then discard something else and keep it in special summon. You could do that, but it'll vary, of course. You did mill. And then now you go for Diablantis. Then your Leveweeder. And this is where you level eat. And this is where the effect to make it a tuner comes up. Because now you have access to Immortal Dragon. Immortal Dragon gives you access to Plague. You banish for Mali. Level eat the Mali. And then now you're back on course. Because DD Crow is one of the most devastating interactions versus this deck. Because Leveweeder is just an insane card that just have to get rid of it. Float. It's so good. Yeah, I mean that's how that's basically how you do it. You just have to find a way to counter DD Crow. Otherwise, you're gonna be left with a devastated field that you can't do anything with. Summon that. Go for this. So right here, it varies. You could have added Golem if you wanted to, but you know, I just want to build the best board I could possibly make. So we're gonna go for that. Go for SD. SD Revive. And we set, and now this is our end board. We have a satellite setup with the Reborn. So this, if they kaiju us, if they golem you, then you can revive. That's still not bad, considering that we were trying to play around a particular card. That's always one of the biggest issues when constructing these decks, because you have to find out the sequence first, and then realize the weakness, and then have to basically restructure your deck into a more resilient and capable sequence. All right, so here's the list. And one of the biggest differences you'll see from the last list is that I'm maxing out Rev and I'm playing tuning as well. And I had to cut the maps because a card version that I don't want to have is like Gofu, Mali, and Rev. So if I have 6 Gofus and 6 Revs, I do want to see Gofu, but if I don't see Gofu with these guys, it can be a bit of an issue. So if like I have Gofu, Map, and Rev, that card version doesn't do much. So I wanted to reduce the chances of that happening. But for the most part, pretty straightforward if you've been following along from the previous variants, the RDA one and the Majestic one. And the whole point is just to fine tune this deck for the format and just have it be viable, because the format's so broad. So it's very difficult to kind of pinpoint how you want to construct your list, whether a boss monster that destroys is good, whether you want more Omnis, because we have a clearer picture as to what the format looks like. Dragon Rulers, Vanquish Soul, the MST deck is becoming a bit more prevalent. There's a few others, but for the most part, it's just trying to construct a deck in a way where it's not really an archetype deck. You kind of have to like mesh a bunch of cards together and try to condense them so it can be the most efficient it can possibly be. When you're building or constructing through an archetype, it's a bit more simplistic, kind of pre-built for you, whereas this one, you have to consider all aspects of the obscurities of it, right? Because the only simplistic thing about this is that Gofu Knight, that's like the simplest thing, and then you go on to the pivot. But then you have to consider, okay, well, how does the sequence go? What do I need to, you know what I mean? How do I mesh all this together and make it efficient? That's the fun thing and the frustrating part of these type of decks. But nonetheless, it's still fun. Once you've figured it out, the building process can be a bit hectic, and that's where we're at right now, which is just trial and error just to see what works, what doesn't work. I don't want to succumb to being so reductive and saying, oh yeah, just do this and this. It's a bit more complex than that. Of course, you can belittle anything. You can be like, oh yeah, just do this and this, and disregard the complexities. You can do that with anything. Doesn't mean it's not complex. But anyways, here's the list, and that's basically gonna be it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for watching.